So I make videos and post them to this channel because I have a vested interest in noticing, documenting, and narrating things that are unusual or that tend to stand out. Um, and if it has something to do with my situation with the landlord or with my living space, then posting these videos are even more crucial because there's ongoing situations and issues that require, documentation if there's something strange or odd going on. I've also been extensively trained and educated as a research scientist in two separate fields of science, one of them being tumor biology, angiogenesis, and cancer research, and the other field of science that I've been extensively trained to notice anomalous patterns is clinical developmental psychology. I have a PhD ABD in clinical developmental psychology, which means you spent most, but not all, of the PhD program requirements, completing them, but did not get the PhD. So I spent 5 years full time in a PhD program for clinical developmental psychology, and I definitely have been very, very trained to notice anomalous behavioral patterns in people around me. So right now I'm noticing that there is something very unusual going on, which is that it is perfectly quiet. There have been absolutely no disruptions whatsoever at all at any point this entire evening, even though there were a lot of disruptions and violent behaviors and aggressive, loud noise making, not just from the residents from the building across the street at 191 Green Street throughout the morning and early afternoon today, but also from the psychopaths and sex offenders who the Greenville group has chosen to place in all three adjacent units to mine. But right now, there's absolutely no noise whatsoever, and it's been going on for about 6 hours now. It's about 11:30 p.m. on Thursday, August 24th. This is the third video I've made today. The first two are about disruptions and problems with the unit, and specifically with somebody who keeps burning, smoking, propagating all kinds of nauseating fumes and odors and smoke from the bathroom that's behind the wall of my kitchen sink. It's also a bathroom that shares a wall with my toilet, and my bathroom tends to fill up with smoke, odors, and fumes whenever there's somebody sitting behind that wall right there, smoking, burning, and propagating the same exact set of stink and fumes that they have been propagating from behind that wall for 9 years now. It's the same person who keeps accessing the now vacant and empty unit that's behind this wall. There's nothing going on right now behind that wall as far as I can tell. There's no fumes or odors. There haven't been any fumes or odors coming from behind that wall for about 6 hours now. So starting at around 5:36 p.m. today, I noticed that everything got really quiet. The creep next door at 88, who likes to make violent banging noises against the wall that his unit shares with mine whenever I do certain things in this unit but not others, has not made a single violent banging noise the entire evening. The violent thug directly below in 76, who also likes to make repeated, violent, super aggressive banging noises directly beneath my bed when I tend to do certain things on the bed but not others, like picking my nose or scratching my armpits, just normal stuff. I'm not talking about doing anything weird. I'm just talking about scratching, like my armpits or something. When I do anything that he thinks I might not want other people to see or have knowledge of, then he starts making violent banging noises, because that seems to be some kind of prison code for I know what you're doing or I can see what you're doing. There has been absolutely none of that throughout the entire evening tonight. He's been quiet as a mouse, and that is extremely unusual. I did a little bit of cleaning, organizing, neatening, made my bed. It's a little bit neater than it has been for the last few days. Washed some dishes, shook out some bedding, smacked the dust out of some towels. But other than that, I was the one making all the noise this evening. Nobody else has been making any noise at all. It's been quiet as a church in here since about 5:30, 6 o'clock p.m. Very, very unusual, but I'm not complaining. I'm just documenting something that is out of the ordinary for this building and for this unit and for this corner. So normally there are screaming, shouting nut jobs from the building across the street standing on the sidewalk directly below my windows early in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, and almost always for several hours each evening. And this evening, there was absolutely none of that. It was completely silent out on the street and out on the corner that Union Ave has with Green Street. Normally, that's like a very rowdy corner where these creeps across the street tend to have loud outdoor parties that go on for hours. Completely silent tonight. And again, no fumes or odors coming from behind that wall at all. There has been almost no remote tasering throughout the entire evening, even though I was getting remote tasered or remote stun gunned late morning. And that's what prevented me from being able to leave this unit as I was planning to do at, 10, 11 a.m. And that's when I started getting remote stun gunned from somebody who was sitting in the bathroom behind this wall, who was also deliberately smoking, burning, and propagating the same exact set of nauseating, sickening, and extremely unusual substances as she has been smoking, burning, and propagating from behind that wall since she was placed in the unit behind this wall in 2013. As I keep mentioning in my videos, the unit behind this wall is now vacant and empty, occasionally and intermittently occupied by the maintenance manager named Jorge, but he hasn't been in that unit at all in about 2 weeks. And since then, the former resident, a psychopath who is also a cyber criminal and a sex offender named Jasmine Irizarry, keeps somehow managing to get into the unit that's behind this wall. And she then engages in the same exact pattern of stalking, harassment, and physical harm behind that wall and against the wall, as she has been since she was placed in that unit in 2013. So it's almost like she never moved out, even though management told me that they had moved her out months ago. Jorge showed me his unit when he was staying in it. I don't think he's staying in it anymore, but she somehow keeps managing to access the wall behind my kitchen sink. And she engages in some very deliberate stalking, harassment, and attention-seeking behavior to let me know that she's right there. So she's not trying to be sneaky about it or subtle. She deliberately does all kinds of crazy stuff against that wall because she wants me to know that she's just a few feet away. She's a mentally disturbed, psychotic nut job who stalks people, harasses them, and then does anything she can to physically harm them because she's a psychopath. And that's what psychopaths do. And I'm not the one who came up with the idea that she's a psychopath. The police are actually the ones who told me she's a psychopath. They also told me that she does bad things. And the management of this building complex, the Greenville Group, have also confirmed that she is, quote, not a very nice person. And that, quote, I should stay away from her, as if I have a choice. She's always sitting against the wall behind my kitchen sink. I'm not the one who goes towards her. If she left the planet and went to like another planet, I would be the happiest person on this planet. But she refuses to leave the area behind this wall because she's a psychotic, mentally disturbed stalker who, quote, targets people, according to the management. So they're the ones telling me this. I'm not the one coming up with all these ideas. These are things that people have told me about her. They're also the ones who told me her name. So that's how I know all this. Anyway, it is very quiet right now. Nobody's being disruptive. Nobody's making any violent banging noises. Not the creep in 88, not the violent nut job below in 76. Nobody's screaming and shouting out on the street, and there are no fumes or odors coming from behind this wall. And all of this total and utter silence and lack of aggression and harassment started at right around 5:30 this evening. So I'm just noting it now. This is a nice evening. I'm enjoying finally having some quiet and no remote tasering either for about 6 hours now. So if anything changes, I'll definitely be making another video about it. But in the meantime, this is highly unusual for this unit. This kind of quiet almost never happens, but I can't say that I mind.